All right, gather around, everybody. It's that time of the week. Little Cowboys Overtime here on StarTelegram.com, sponsored by Window Nation. I am the recovering Fort Worth Star-Telegram columnist, Mac Engel, joined by my good friend, Mr. Clarence E. Hill, Jr. Clarence, where is your compassion meter for me right now, given my physical state? Are we talking like an 8 or a 9 or maybe even a 10? 2. That's gone up from last week. I appreciate it.
How about a 2? How about a 2?
How about a 2? Thank you very much.
Let me get my violin out.
I appreciate that.
How much I'm concerned with this tiny violin.
Where are you in your estate? I see all those awards behind you. Are those yours or your daughters? Those are your daughters.
Yeah, they're both. They're everybody's the family award. It's family. I got some awards, guy. Okay, I got some.
I don't.
Awards. You know, you got some. I got.
No,
some.
I don't have any. I've won some. I don't actually have them.
Oh well, same thing.
No, I don't have them. They could just be. They could be. I could be making money on them on eBay right now. Speaking of making money, the Dallas Cowboys will now be making money off of Ezekiel Elliott jerseys. This is the worst idea in the history of the worst ideas. You wrote the other day, the Dallas Cowboys, after not drafting a running back at all in last week's NFL draft, are dipping into the well to bring back the band together again. They have re-signed to a 1-year deal, veteran Ezekiel Elliott. Clarence, you're going to have to talk me off the ledge off this one. Zeke's a good pro, he's a great guy, and all that good stuff. This guy's done.
Well, he's not done.
Yes,
but
he is.
I mean, done is relative, okay?
Floor's yours. You're going to have to talk me into this. You're going to have to talk me into this.
He should be on the roster this year. To say he's done, like he should be retired, that's not true. Should he be a starter? That's a whole nother conversation. But what's interesting to me is that in 2019, the Cowboys invested in Zeke because the running back was the most important position on the team in their quest for a title. This year, they don't take a running back in the draft, and they do re-sign Zeke, but it tells you that of the diminished value of a running back. Zeke got $3 million guaranteed, $2 million guaranteed on a $3 million deal. He's making roughly about $1 million this year. That just tells you how the Cowboys have gone from the running back is so important to we can bring back Zeke, part of a running back committee of nobodies, and make this thing work or try to make this thing work. They just show you how devalued the running back position is, even in the eyes of the Cowboys, the home of Emmitt Smith and Tony Dorsett, and even Ezekiel Elliott, 2-time rushing champ. The thing that you should be interested in is the fact that the offensive line, Cooper Beebe, and we're going to get into the draft.
Yeah.
But they will be better blocking for the run this year. There were a lot of yards, touchdowns that were left unanswered last year because of poor running and poor blocking. And the running blocking, they hope should be better this year. And I'm going to tell you, Zeke has already made them a better goal line, red zone rushing offense. He had 12 red zone rushing touchdowns in 2022 when he was playing with a torn patella. Last year, the Cowboys as a team had 5. The big play is gone. The big play is gone from the rushing game, but they could be more efficient at times. But again, I don't think they're done. They could, once final cuts are happening, they could add a running back. There are plenty of running backs out there that could help this team. At this point, you don't necessarily need prime Zeke. You don't need prime Emmett. You don't need prime Derrick Henry to have a successful running game and to be a running game on a Super Bowl champion. Hello, Freddie Pacheco.
Cowboys last season had the 14th ranked rushing offense in the NFL with Tony Pollard, who ran just for more than 1,000 yards. He had one 100-yard rushing day. And that was more of a complimentary system. Obviously, Rico Dowdle was used occasionally. Kevontae Turpin got some action. Deuce Vaughn never really factored into the equation at all. But I think, as we sit there and talk about the devalued running back position, it's like, what realistically do they think Zeke Elliott should give them in a 17-game season? And I'm like, okay, I'm just not seeing it. Okay, and this is why. In the last 4 or 5 games of his last year, and I know he was playing injured, and that does matter, but even going back to last year when I did watch New England, where he spent last season, he just looked like to me like a guy who just didn't have anything left. And if he didn't have anything left, then what's he giving this running back room realistically? 5 carries a game?
Oh, I'm sure more than 5, but I mean, I'm not championing this as Zeke of old, and you're trying to compare it to the Zeke of old. And
no, I'm not. I'm trying. No. That guy's gone, and everybody in. It's more like.
But he's going to give them his experience. He's going to give them leadership. He's going to give them, again, as I said, number one, a hammer at the goal line, which they did not have. And I would say that he has more juice left in his legs than you're giving him credit for. But again, but you look at the running game last year, and they couldn't run when they needed to.
No, they couldn't.
They couldn't run it when it mattered most, and so this is just another step in the direction. Again, I don't think that the running back position, as far as the roster, is over. I mean, again, they could continue to add to this position, but after not getting it in the draft, and you give them credit for not forcing it. You know, you can say what you want about them forcing a need if you believe that at the top with the left tackle, but they did not force the need at running back. They stayed true to their board. Their running backs they could have taken a running back in the 3rd round. So many went off in the 4th round. And when they didn't have a pick, but they picked the linebacker they thought was, a higher rate on their board and better suited for the team.
Okay, well, you mentioned the NFL draft, so we're going to go over who the draft picks were. The Cowboys had 8 selections in the draft. Tyler Guyton went in the 1st round, offensive tackle from Oklahoma and TCU for a minute. Marshawn Nealon, defensive end out of Western Michigan. Cooper Beebe, a center out of Kansas State. A little surprised he dropped that far. Maris Liafu, the linebacker. Kalen Carson, a cornerback. Ryan Flournoy from Southeast Missouri, a wide receiver. Nathan Thomas, an offensive lineman. And then Justin Rogers, defensive tackle out of Auburn. Clarence, give me your day 1 starters out of this bunch.
Well, Guyton and Beebe are the starters. There's no question about that. Okay. That's it.
That's it.
And that's what they focused on, and everybody was talking about they're not being Dak friendly. Well, or even running back friendly, but they went and remade the offensive line with 2 starters. And Guyton is a 6'7" mountain of a man who, former basketball player who has great feet, who has a tremendous upside potential. I'm not saying he's Tyron Smith and going to be Tyron Smith, but it was a solid pick. And you just look at what he's done. He gave up no sacks. As a senior, I think only 2 sacks in the starts in the last 2 years at Oklahoma, and Oklahoma knows how to develop and put offensive linemen in the NFL if we go back to their track record. And to me, Cooper Beebe is the best pick on the board. Cooper Beebe is the most accomplished draft pick of all. I mean, you're talking about a 2-time Big 12 offensive lineman of the year. You're talking about a 2-time All-American road grader who admittedly likes to dirt people. During his career at Kansas State, he's going to move from guard to center, and he may be the most physical, biggest guard the team has had in a long time.
So
center. Travis Frederick was good, but I don't think he was known for being physical, and he was smart. He could get everybody in the right spot.
Yeah.
He would get run over by bull rushers sometimes. This guy's not getting run over by anybody's bull rush or big time wide body nose tackle. So he's going to really be an anchor in the middle of this offensive line.
So we've talked about in the past, and one thing that Mike McCarthy stressed is he wants offensive linemen who can play different positions, right? And now they've got that. And when I looked at all these different guys, I was like, well, okay, you could do this guy here, this guy here. Where are you going to guess, including the starters, Tyler Smith and Zach Martin? Where's everybody? Who's where on that offensive line?
Well, another beautiful thing about it is Tyler Smith gets to stay at left guard. And
so he stays at left guard.
Yeah, he's Guyton's left tackle, Tyler Smith left guard, BB is center, Zach Martin's right guard, and certainly Terrence Steele is right tackle.
Okay.
And the beautiful thing about it is Tyler Smith, was the best offensive lineman on the team last year. Okay.
Was he better than Zach Martin?
Yes, he was. Okay. He was better than Zach Martin in his play last year. Zach Martin is still very good, but Tyler Smith was the best offensive lineman on the team last year. He has a chance to be a premier guard in this league for years to come. And I know 2 years ago they drafted him supposedly to be Tyron Smith's replacement at left tackle, but he's played so well at guard, and they didn't want to move him. They wanted to keep him at guard, and they got Guyton to play left tackle, and that's the best part is because that's as Mike McCarthy called him, TNT, Tyler Guyton and Tyler Smith on that left side. That could be a nice left side for years to come.
the left tackle position is the high dollar position of the offensive line. Tyler proved he could play it. Why didn't he want to make that move himself? Why didn't he push for that, given the fact that that is the celebrity high dollar spot in the NFL's offensive line?
Well, theoretically, you're right. I think most people that's one reason why Leo Collins wanted to move to tackle, because the tackle get paid more than guards.
Right.
He didn't want to stay tackle, but guards are getting paid. I mean, you look at some of the numbers out there. The millions are there for everybody, and again, Tyler Smith is such a great human being.
Yeah,
and he wants to do what's best for the team. He's not greedy. He's going to get paid. He's going to get paid well. He could have a, Hall of Fame type career guard. You can say, well, go to left tackle and get paid. I don't know if he can be solid at left tackle. He won't be as good as left tackle as he is at guard. And again, he could run off 8 straight Pro Bowls, be in the conversation for Hall of Fame in the future at left guard. That's how good he was last year. That's how good they believe he can be. That's why they didn't make a move. And again, he's such a good human being. He's going to do what's best for the team. And ultimately, it may be best for his career.
Any other guy out of this list, 8 players, that you looked at? Because I think we're both in agreement that the Cooper Beebe pick I really liked, because I'd seen him play at Kansas State a lot. I was like, this guy's pretty good. And obviously the Guyton pick, that's a guy we were all familiar with. Is there anybody off this list that interested you as like the Justin Rogers one? I'd seen Justin play at Auburn, and you know how it goes, Clarence. You're watching games on TV. Maybe a guy does something, it catches your eye, like, oh, that guy looks pretty good. I know, and I've my own personal Cowboys bias with Auburn defensive players and Jay Ratliff. Jay was the 7th round guy that was just a great athlete, came around and was had a hell of a career. Is there anybody else on here that say that guy? Keep an eye on that guy.
Well, I would say that the one I like is Flournoy, the receiver. He's 6'2", runs a 4.4. He's got kind of a Dez Bryant package. He likes to jump over people. He's raw, come from a small school. Certainly, I think they need Rodgers to come in and give them some depth and give them some snaps at nose tackle, because they have no one there. I mean, you got Mozzie Smith there, but they have no big. The focus is to stop the run. They need somebody to stop the run. They need help stopping the run. They need to get bigger in the middle. That's certainly what the Justin Rogers pick was for. Mozzie Smith is slated to start there. He's still unproven. He showed nothing as a rookie last year. But so they needed someone else to come in and help supplant him or supplement him, at that position. So we'll see. Goodness, I'm not Mike Mayock. I'm not a draft, guru. I think it's crazy that everybody got all these so-called draft experts who just start watching the draft and watching players in February and January, unlike NFL teams to do this stuff year round. But overall, it's you understand what they were trying to do in the draft.
For sure.
Nealon, we talk about Nealon and a 2nd round pick. He's going to, they need help at pass rusher. They need help at defensive end. After losing 2 guys to Washington, they need some depth there. The Notre Dame linebacker, Leafu, again, we know they need size and bodies in linebacker after under Dan Quinn, when they didn't really play linebacker. They played mostly safeties, and they're going to go back to a traditional 4-3 unit. We're going to use 3 linebackers and just 2 safeties rather than 3 safeties and 2 linebackers. So need to bolster that position. And, again, Kalen Carson, a cornerback, big size cornerback who can play inside and outside. Jordan Lewis is on a 1-year deal. You'll need some, depth there. They really have any depth there at cornerback behind the 2 starters and Jordan Lewis. So you understand the pick there. So it's Nathan Thomas is, again, offensive tackle, who's
huge guy.
He's a huge guy who's going to play guard in the pros. He's going to move to guard. And so they really like him. They had a higher grade on him where he was drafted. And so we'll see. It's going to be an interesting draft. And again, they're signing other guys in free agents. Undrafted free agent. One guy to look out for is Brevin Span Ford, a tight end from from Minnesota, who's 6'7", 270 pounds. They gave him $245,000 guaranteed to come in. He was a road grading blocker at Minnesota who likes to run the ball, and it was a 6'7" frame. He also can be a red zone threat at tight end.
All right. Tell you what, so Clarence gives the Cowboys draft an A grade, because he always does. Yeah, you did. Tell you what. You know who else got a grade A for the draft? Window Nation. Let's hear from them now.
Window Nation, the star of window replacement and proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys, can help you fill the house this season with savings. Buy 2 windows, get 2 free, and make no interest payments for 60 months, 5 full years. Fill your house for a customized authentic Dallas Cowboys jersey while supplies last. You could even help fill the Cowboys house and win tickets to a game. Visit windownation.com/Cowboys now for details. Call 866-95-NATION. Window Nation, proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
Thank you very much, Window Nation. Back here on Cowboys Overtime, StarTelegram.com. Clarence O, Mac Engel. Clarence, I brought this subject up with you yesterday, and you pulled a Clarence, which is, hey, I'm the smartest guy in the room.
Oh, my God.
Yes. So I came up with the topics. Normally, Clarence comes up with the topics for the show. He does a great job at it. And because he cares about me and what he really wanted to do was not do it, was here, Mac can come up with the topics. So number 3 I came up with was, what veteran on this team whose job is on the line after this draft? And I put in parentheses to let our producer, Candy Bolden, know, take a picture of Tank Lawrence. And Clarence shoots back, Tank's job's not threatened. I know that. But they drafted Marshawn Nealon in the 2nd round because that's Tank Lawrence's replacement, probably for 2025. Right? Why can't you just play along?
Yes, 2025.
I know, but
niggas out of contract. They need a strong side end. He fits the profile of a strong side end. He has Tank Lawrence traits. They love him. One thing they did on draft, they compared him to Tank Lawrence.
Go back and look at pictures of Tank Lawrence when he came out of Boise State, and look at Marshawn Nealon right now, and they look like the same guy.
Yeah,
because Tank was a lot skinnier then, and all that other stuff. He hadn't put on all that muscle and all that weight. But you're the guy in biblical times. Someone's going to say, "Hey, I heard about this guy. I think he split the Red Sea." Like, yeah, I already knew that. We don't need to talk about that.
No.
We need to talk about that. We don't talk about that guy.
I guess I was taking you literally. I'm sorry. and I was taking you literally. And who's going to replace which rookies? What veteran job in trouble now? In 2024 by these rookies. And so that's what I would. And so I'm saying no. Tank Lawrence's job is not in trouble now in 2024 by these rookies.
Well, and in fairness to you, I couldn't think of anybody else. I really couldn't. It's not like Dak Prescott's going to lose his job. You know, CeeDee Lamb's not going anywhere.
Trey Lance going to take his job.
Say that again.
You're not on the Trey Lance train. That Trey Lance is going to take his job.
I swear to God, you know, after they made that trade last year, and I swear, after Jerry Jones made that trade, I was talking to one of the scouts, and he was, you know, he's like, yeah, I like this, and he was going through the positives of it, and here we are in May. It's May 1st, and I'm thinking to myself, the draft has come and gone. They have eaten this monster rookie contract of Trey Lance for last year and this season. And they are going to get nothing out of this guy for a 4th round pick. Nothing. And the more I think about it, I'm like, of all the trades that Jerry has been killed for, Roy Williams, signing Joey Galloway, whatever, caving to however many guys, this one should go down as a top 5 because they're going to get nothing for him.
Yeah, one is they're not going to pick up his 5th-year option. So he's basically, the thing about it is the entire quarterback room is in the final year of their deal. Cooper Rush, Dak Prescott,
and Trey Lance.
And especially if they don't get a deal extension done with Dak Prescott, we're talking about everybody is on the contract year. And you don't know who's going to be the quarterback next year. They want to get a deal done with Dak. They say they do, that he's going to be the quarterback of the future, that Dak's our guy. But until they do it, it's a question. You're going to go into the season with that question hanging over your head. I don't know why you would want to do that and chance him, obviously, I said it all along. If the Cowboys come correct, Dak wants to be here. This is where he wants to be. But, Dak will have plenty of offers and plenty of opportunities to play elsewhere.
He's not going anywhere.
The funny thing about it is,
he's not going anywhere.
I was listening to somebody, one of the talking heads, and he put this out there. Are the Cowboys doing everything they can in this offseason to make Dak Prescott not look like a $60 million quarterback? I mean, they're doing nothing to help him. I mean, are they trying to dumb down the team? Jerry's saying that he have to play with a diminished roster. Are they trying to make it so difficult that he won't look like a $6 million contract quarterback so they can sign him to less? Does that make sense?
No.
No,
because I don't.
Because then you're not trying to win, and you're dumbing down the whole process.
If they had selected a running back in the 3rd round, or even the 4th round, when all those guys went off the board, because I'm looking where they took.
Well, I went in the 4th round, and they they didn't have a 4th round pick.
Or pardon me. Well, let's say they moved. Let's say they had moved up. Let's say they had done something to address the running back position in the draft. How does this conversation about this offense change? If they get the same guys, Tyler Guyton and Cooper Beebe, and they redo their offensive line, and now that looks like it's okay, it should be okay. We don't know how these guys are going to play, but it looks like it's going to be okay. But if they had addressed the running back position with a rookie, a 4th rounder, that they sacrificed everybody else rounds 5 through 7 just to get a 4th round running back, how are we talking about this offense right now? Because I don't think it looks that much different with the rookie running back.
I don't either. I think
that's
just how we do with the draft, because we just want somebody new. We want to shine a new toy. We want somebody. You're talking about Zeke. We want somebody. We already know what Zeke looks like. Okay, so I don't know that a rookie running back, especially those available in the 3rd and 4th round, make this room marginally better.
No, it's just young legs. The only running back I think that would have made this room dramatically different would have been Jonathan Brooks. And I never thought they were going to get Jonathan Brooks. I know everybody on draft night, when you guys talked to him and he's sitting there talking about how much he loved John Brooks and, it's the greatest interview I've ever had. And all these people on Twitter is like, oh, Jerry's showing his hand. I'm like, no, he's not. Like, that was not going to affect anybody's draft picks one way or the other. They weren't going to get him.
People are so funny when Jerry showed his hand, so everybody's going to pick him because Jerry likes him. No, that's stupid.
They said the same. They said the same thing about Darren McFadden because Darren went to Arkansas.
Right.
Remember that?
Yeah.
That was ridiculous. Okay, but let's the one veteran. He's not a veteran. He's a first-year player, and you mentioned it there. There's 2 questions that I didn't get to ask you about the Zeke thing, Clarence. Just because they signed Zeke to a contract, it's a 1-year deal. I'm of the mind that doesn't guarantee he's going to make this team. Do you think that this is is there anything about this, Clarence, that you could say if he doesn't show anything and they think he's done, that they'll cut him?
No, yeah, I mean, obviously that's all on the table, but I don't think the Cowboys brought Zeke back to cut him. I mean, I think they saw the film, they know what he looks like.
They like him.
They like him. I mean, Jerry Jones loves him, and they like it. He likes being here, and he's going to be the leader in that room. He's best friends with Dak Prescott, and so I don't see them cutting him at all.
Okay,
they're not going to embarrass him that way.
Then what would it take for Mozzie Smith to fall down the depth chart behind Justin Rogers?
I mean, first of all, Justin Rogers is a 7th round pick. Let's.
Who cares? I mean, it doesn't matter.
You're on his chip. Let's not put too much dip on his chip right now. Okay?
Here's the problem with Mozzie Smith's chip. There's nothing on it.
Right, exactly. And so, I was doing this last week with some guys. Name me the 1st round pick in Cowboys history. 1st round pick in Cowboys history. 1st round pick since you've been around. How about that?
Okay.
That did nothing as a rookie that became a player.
Oh,
nothing as a rookie.
God, what a great question. So he just bombed as a rookie and then became a player. But I can't. Could you come up with?
I couldn't come up with it because I go back to Bobby Carpenter. That none of them became players. I mean,
Bobby showed more than his rookie year than he did than Mozzie did.
He didn't. But he was inactive the opening game of the season. Yeah. I mean, when rookies don't come in and play, especially 1st round picks, that speaks volumes. And you go back to Taco Charlton, they don't become players. You go back,
what a great
Claiborne, they don't necessarily become players. I mean, it is Felix Jones. You go, it's on and on and on. Guys, they don't become regular starters. They don't become players.
No, that's a good one.
Now the Cowboys expecting Mozzie Smith. We have to have something from Mozzie Smith. Well, he didn't pay a drop last year.
No, he didn't. I think, I've talked to other NFL guys about this. I had this theory that when you bring in a rookie at certain positions, with the exception of running back, they need to show you something in about 5 games. 5 games in 17, maybe 16, maybe 6 games, but they need to show you something that gives you an indication this guy can play. So maybe that's a forced fumble, maybe that's a plug in the rut, something.
He didn't flash at all. He played 4 snaps in the Green Bay loss, in the loss to Green Bay, and now he's had offseason surgery. And he won't be able to participate instead of starting training camp, so he's out for minicamp, out for OTAs.
Does that apply to? Then does that same theory? That's a great one. It's a great question. I never thought about it. Does that apply to Luke Schoonmaker, the tight end they took out of Michigan too?
Well, he was the second round, but I was just thinking the first round pick. Most rookies, if they don't, a lot of them, if they don't play a lot of rookies, they don't become players. And it is tough. Different with Lucas, you do have a budding tight end in front of him and Jake Ferguson, and so you're not left in a lurch. But right now, the Cowboys are left in a lurch at nose tackle.
All right, let's shift gears here, because a team that is not left in a lurch, but in a situation, we'll call that, is the local basketball team. The Dallas Mavericks are tied in their first-round playoff series with the LA Clippers. And the reason why I bring up this subject is Jason Kidd coaching for his job with the Mavericks is because of this. The Clippers are without, hang on, hear me out. The Clippers are without their best player in Kawhi Leonard. And even when he did play, he was limited. Now, Paul George and James Harden in Game 4 look like 2 guys that you could put in the Hall of Fame today and nobody would object. I mean, that was just incredible shot making. But this was a series I thought the Mavericks were clearly better than the Clippers. But here we are 2-2. And now, because of the Los Angeles Lakers and their situation, they've been eliminated by the Nuggets in the first round. So why don't you give me what are the Lakers?
The fake show is dead, of course.
There we go.
Is dead.
Okay,
but I've been saying that.
Hang on. Okay, I'm just saying.
They're in Cancun or they're in Galveston, whatever.
They're in Galveston. I love that. They're in Galveston.
Okay, I just want to know, why are you blaming this on Kidd? Why
I'm not. Because you got it. No, I'm not.
Because Luka himself said he's letting Kyrie down.
And he did.
Let's point out
Kyrie
himself, because Kyrie's playing
out of his mind.
He's a magician right now.
The game, some of those shots that he made in Game 4, some of the shot making in Game 4 from Harden, from Kyrie, and Paul George. Paul George hit one of the most amazing step back 3-pointers.
Oh, that was the difference in the game. That 3-pointer, he was falling out of bounds. That was behind the backboard.
It was behind the backboard.
That was the difference in the game.
And James Harden.
No, Harden was great.
But here's my beef about Kidd. You've got James Harden getting in the middle of the lane consistently, and they never put Derek Lively and big guys in the middle to account for it. Now, I understood Kidd's explanation, but this is why I'm bringing up the Lakers. It is a well-known secret that LeBron James, who is going to opt out of his contract with the Lakers and become a free agent, he's going to stay in LA.
He wants to play with his son.
He's going to, yeah, right. I mean, everybody knows it's coming. But it's also well known that former Texas Tech great Darvin Ham, who was in his first year as the head coach of the Lakers, is gone. So LeBron will be naming the head coach. And that the potential replacement could be a guy that he lobbied for the Mavericks job in Jason Kidd. Here's another scenario. I don't believe anymore that Mark Cuban is running the Mavericks. I think now more than ever, this is Nico Harrison's team. And if he thinks that this is not a match, and if Jason Kidd thinks, well, wait a minute, I can go out to LA and coach LeBron James, well, why not do it? Now, obviously, the Mavericks have to lose this series. I think they're going to win.
Before the horse. Well, that's why people hate the media. That's why they hate the media.
Yeah, but they consume it. Here, well, this is what they don't understand.
What if they win the series?
He's fine. He's not going to get fired. It's just a question. But the question is that we've seen, look, the NBA now, this is a different landscape than it was 10 years ago.
I just read on 7 years ago. That LeBron wants to hire J.J. Redick because they're doing a podcast together.
Well, it's ridiculous, right? But this is the AAU world of the NBA that we live in. But if the Mavericks lose this series and Kawhi's not playing, he's not playing Game 5.
Yeah, but they're better without Kawhi right now. I mean, you can say, I understand on paper they're losing the best team, but Kawhi has not been healthy. He's not healthy. They're a better team with Kawhi, and they do have 2 legitimate superstars who are playing out of their mind. Everybody thought James Harden was fat and over the hill, and because of all those things that happened in Philadelphia and Jersey. But James Harden is still a bona fide bucket. And as much as you love what Luka and Kyrie can do, their big two is just as dangerous. They're just as dangerous.
They have been when they've won. Now, if you go back to their wins, they've had 2 wins. The 3-point shot has been basically 50%.
Yeah.
And they have hit some spectacular individual shots. I mean, just one-on-one.
Now that Harden is not just selling for the three, but also driving.
Oh, he's getting around guys.
To hit the runners. I mean,
but is there any scenario? Look, I said it here. I wrote it. Jason Kidd on March 5th said, y'all need to calm down. We're going to be fine. And he was right. And I asked him later, I said, do you feel vindicated by it? He said, no, not vindicated. He said, I get it. Criticism is part of the job. I get it. Conflict, he gets it. He's a smart guy. And I think firing him, I think pushing him out would be a mistake. I know there's a lot of people in Mavs Nation who think he's a bum. But if the Lakers' job's open and LeBron's like, Jason, what do you think? Do you think he'd leave?
No, I just don't think it's going to happen. But I think the one thing we're not bringing up is that Luka's health. And he's
hurt. Yeah, he's hurt.
And so the end of game 4, he was tired. He was done. He was laboring. They need Luka healthy.
Yeah, because he's not the same guy right now. He's just not getting to his spots. I mean, what Kyrie did in game 4, I mean, we're not talking about it because of what Harden did and because of the Paul George shot in the corner. And forget that there was other shots too.
No.
Just sensational shot making. But what Kyrie did in that game was, I mean, Dr. J, Rod Strickland, just creativity around the basket.
I'm glad you brought up Rod Strickland because he's one of the small shot makers, small guy who can finish at the rim like nobody's business.
Well, I know everybody's going crazy. I was a Rod Strickland guy. I love Rod Strickland. I mean, he might have been crazy, but some of his shot making, his ability to finish at the rim was maybe the best I've ever seen since Kyrie. But I don't necessarily think Kyrie's better than Rod, but they're in that 1-2 category.
Oh, he's better than Rod. Come on, let's stop it.
No, I'm talking about finishing at the rim. Finishing at the rim.
Okay.
All right. I know you're already typing. I can already tell. Okay. This has been a lot of fun. We obviously had a lot to talk about. Candy, thank you very much for your great work. For all your Cowboys coverage needs, Mavericks, Stars, Rangers, TCU, FC Dallas, check us out on StarTelegram.com. Thank you, Window Nation. See you next week.